A new not-based charity is helping Ukrainian refugees on the border in Poland. Supply Ukraine is working with Polish connections to ensure that 100% of all donations are going straight to refugees or people still in the war-torn country. The charity launched on Tuesday and wants to help as many people crossing the border. They say the amount of people crossing into Poland is slowing, but those who are arriving have more trauma and injuries than the ones who fled over a few weeks ago. Russelll Bowman helped set up the charity and is in the Polish capital, Warsaw, and joins us now. Thanks for coming on the show, Russelll.
Hey, Al, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So you've been in this situation before. You obviously have travelled over recently, but how are things at the moment? What are you seeing?
As you said, things are slowing down, but the people coming across, more traumatic injuries, a lot more exhausted. On the other side of it, there are a lot of people going back into Ukraine, though. So I think Russia retreating back from Kyiv is giving people a little bit more confidence, but at the end of the day, the macro view of why we're doing this in the first place is still very much a big issue.
So people have been, since the invasion started, obviously people have been donating, making donations, food, clothing, everything that we can try and do to help. What are you taking over, and how is it helping people?
Well, to be honest, we started with running supplies. We've got a Polish contact here, a gentleman called Arthur. He's a genuine hero in my eyes. He, normal civilian, when the war started, he dropped 70% of his normal job, and now he runs supplies in and through Ukraine, like mostly handling the logistical side. But it turns out like sending supplies in themselves, it's very much a supply and demand situation. And if you send the supplies, by the time they arrive, they aren't the necessary supplies that they need anymore. It's a time constraint situation. So we've actually pivoted more to directly funding the people on the ground so that they can go and buy the supplies that they need as and when they need them.
Okay, so you've been set up to say that 100% of donations goes to the people who want. Was that something that wasn't happening before?
It's a thing that when we were down here on the ground a couple of weeks ago, obviously there are NGOs and things like that. There's the Red Cross over in Lviv, but we saw 90% of the work that was done by private individuals. And they were getting donations from all sorts of different people, obviously. But they needed more direct line contact, essentially. So I'm currently in Warsaw. My entire intention is to vet recipients of these items, make sure that their supply lines are good and that the money's going to go to the correct place. I can only speak for ourselves when I say 100% of our donations will go through to the correct people. Whatever money we give, we demand receipts of how it's being spent, all on humanitarian aid. And so far, we've got that. It's been really, really good seeing the reaction of the people that we're helping on the ground.
What has the reaction been? You say people are going back into Ukraine. I mean, obviously we see what we see on TV, on this show and on the news across the globe. It still looks horrific. So what is the thought on the ground?
When I say people are going, they're not going back en masse. You know, a lot of this is people going back because they left elderly relatives there who couldn't travel at the time, so now they want to go and get them out. Or people going back to fight is a decent amount of it. At the moment, the city of Lviv seems to be fairly safe. So a lot of people are going there, a lot of things get run into there and then redistributed from Lviv. But yeah, I wouldn't say people are going en masse, but I have heard quite a few reports of people wanting to go back and going back. And I'm seeing that as a turning point. It really seems to be since they've retreated out of Kyiv, people are feeling more confident.
So if you say people are going back to get elderly relatives now, that's still desperation, isn't it? That's still frightening.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's what I mean by we've seen a lot less refugees, say at the Warsaw train station, where I was volunteering a few weeks ago. Went back yesterday, and yes, a lot less refugees in need of help, but the help that those refugees do because they've gone through extra trauma I don't actually think the workload has gone down.
Right. Okay. Well, Russelll, thank you for coming. And we could go online and find more about Supply Ukraine and how we can help people as well. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Russelll Bowman and Supply Ukraine. If you go online, you can find out more details.